What are the signs of burnout? What are the signs of burnout? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. And today I want to talk to you about the signs of burnout in five different areas, and some of the signs. I'm not going to capture everything for you today, but I do want to talk about it across five different areas. And the five areas that I want to talk about are the emotional signs, the mental signs, the physical signs, the professional signs, and also the signs that can relate to some of your relationships. So I want to talk to you about the emotional, physical, mental, professional, and relationship signs. And I'm just going to give you a few of each of those. But when we look at the impact that they can have across all of these areas, hopefully we can all work together to banish burnout. This is the point that we want to get to. Do not want to see numbers climbing. My name is Kelly Swingler and I am the Burnoutologist. I was previously an HR director. I was a very successful senior director working in a large corporate, and I reached my first burnout in 2013. My first burnout made me really seriously ill. My second burnout 2 years later almost killed me. And I began to focus on burnout more and more within my work when I received a phone call to tell me that my replacement had died in her sleep whilst away on a leadership residential. I know that we can prevent burnout. I know that burnout does not have to be climbing. I know we do not need to see these numbers rising. And I know that every single one of the numbers that are rising are a person. Right? Every single burnout statistic is a person. So I am on a mission to banish burnout in a changing world of work, because I know that we can prevent it. And on my watch, no other person, no other director, no other manager, no other HR professional, nobody will experience the severity of burnout that I experienced. I do not feel that any of us should be jeopardizing our health and well-being for a result of our work. And certainly none of us should be dying as a result of the stress that our work is causing. So I'm on a mission to banish burnout, and I would love for you to join me on that mission. Let's banish burnout together in this changing world of work. Okay, let's get into then these five topics that I want to talk to you about today, the five areas where burnout can impact us. And let's start with some of the emotional signs. And I'm talking to you today about some of the most common signs that people will experience. So emotionally, it can feel like we're in this constant panic, right? Everything feels like it's urgent. There's this panic, there is this overwhelm that can really just take hold. Everything feels urgent. Everything is panic. And even, wanting to maybe go and grab yourself a drink, there's panic. I haven't got time to do it, or I haven't drank today, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. There's panic about when will I be able to take a bathroom break? There's panic about when you might be eating. And that's if you remember to do any of these things. Very often, and certainly where I was there myself, I wouldn't remember to drink, I wouldn't remember to eat, and I wasn't remembering to take a bathroom break. I'd be on the train sometimes after a kind of 12 or 13-hour day, and I'd be like, oh God, I needed to run to the bathroom. It's like I haven't had a break all day. But the panic throughout the course of the day, I need to do this, I need to do this. And of course, I was never getting around to do it. And that's if I remembered to do it at all in the first place. So this panic, this overwhelm. And it can feel because you feel overwhelmed, but at the same time you're panicking, not thinking that you're doing enough. So it can be a very kind of complicated, complex thing that we're battling within our heads, because we're basically fighting with ourselves in terms of when these thoughts come up for us. We could then also, from an emotional perspective, just have some of this kind of unexplained, heightened emotions. And this might come out in terms of just unexplained crying. And I say unexplained because at the time we just can't put our finger on why it's happening. When we start to look back, if we get to the point of burnout and we start to look back, all of the signs have been, kind of all these lights flashing. The signs have been there for a really, really long time, but you will have been ignoring them. So when you have these emotional outbursts, when you find yourself maybe locked in the toilet bathroom, maybe you find yourself having to run out of a meeting, maybe you find yourself under your desk or crying at your desk, maybe you find yourself locked in a cupboard or something somewhere, maybe you just find yourself bursting into tears as you go to buy your lunch from somewhere, and at the time you think, I don't know what's wrong with me, I don't know why this is happening. And this is a sign. But because you can't, okay, it was that particular thing that did it. You haven't stubbed your toe. You might not have had an argument with anybody. It's just the overwhelm. And the tears can come from the need to let go. So we can have this panic, you can have this overwhelm, you can have these heightened emotions, and sometimes this unexplained crying. I think there's another aspect of this, which is about withdrawing. You can withdraw, and this can impact your relationships, it can impact your work, it can impact you physically, mentally. But you find yourself withdrawing from the things that you used to love, withdrawing from the things that used to make you feel great, withdrawing from the things that may have picked you up emotionally or allowed you to recharge or stop, but you just find yourself withdrawing. And you can also be withdrawing from some of your relationships, and I've popped that into this category. So withdrawal, so panic, overwhelm, heightened emotions, and it can also manifest and be created in this withdrawal. The second category then that I want to talk to you about is the impact that can happen mentally. And it can start off with just overthinking. Your brain is on red alert, right? Your brain has got so much in it, and you don't know what to do with all it. It's like your brain is moving too quickly for you to be able to process. You struggle to process your thoughts. You struggle to be able to process your to-do list. If you were to create the time just to write down your to-do list, you might find that your brain is going faster than you're able to write anything down. And then there's more and more and more coming. So you can find that you start to avoid writing lists because it starts to feel like too much of an impossible task, just writing the list down, because you just got to keep going. You're moving from thought to thought and thought to thought. You may be flitting a lot more. People around you might notice some of this kind of sense of urgency, your inability to focus as you just keep moving from thought to thought to thought to thought. And sometimes, because your brain then starts to process things much more quickly, your ability to communicate effectively with others can also be impacted, because you might have had the thought about the problem, thought about the issue, and come up with the solution. You might only give one of those pieces of information to the people that you're talking to, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But as far as you're concerned, everything has already happened in your head. Like, the conversation's already happened, everything is already there. So this overthinking, your brain feels like it is on overdrive. Your brain is going into overdrive. It's trying to think of all of the things that it can do to keep you safe, to keep you active, to keep you moving, to keep you going. And I'm going to talk about why our brain goes into overload so much in the next video. But you're going into just this total, it's like the hamster on the wheel is just going. You cannot switch off your thoughts. So emotionally, it can look like panic, overwhelm, heightened emotions. It can look like withdrawing. Mentally, it can be this constant overthinking. Everything is just going round and round and round and round in your head on overdrive. Physically, then, there can be a lot of symptoms. And I always say that the physical symptoms, as with everything else that we've discussed, really can mirror other things as well. And so it's important, I really want to get across to you in this video, whilst I have been doing this work and this research and this study now for over 10 years, I am not equipped to diagnose. And I think it's important, particularly in the world that we're in at the moment, where we're all turning to Dr. Google or Dr. YouTube to give us a diagnosis, I think it's really important for you. I'm going to make this really clear. When as I'm talking about some of these physical symptoms, it may or may not be burnout. If you have any concerns about not just your physical health, actually, but also your mental and emotional health, I would urge you to go and speak to a medical practitioner. Reach out to your GP. I can do a lot around coaching. I am trained and qualified in a number of different things, but I am not able to diagnose. So as I'm talking about these signs and symptoms, if you have any concerns, your first stop, ideally, should be a medical practitioner or your GP. So some of the physical signs that you may be experiencing could be just unexplained pains, right? You might start to get different pains in your shoulders or your chest or your leg or your neck. There might be something in your back. You might start to get some stomach pains, maybe some chest pains. The pains will come, you'll have a reason for them. And I want to highlight that with all of these signs that I'm talking to you about today. If you are on the brink of burnout, you will find an excuse for all of them, right? You start to experience pains. Maybe you stood for too long yesterday. Maybe you worked too hard at the gym. If you're still going to the gym, you've probably stopped doing that. Maybe you slept funny. Maybe you were sat for too long. You'll be thinking of excuses for all of them, just so you can ignore them and keep on going. But you might be getting some really unexplained pains. You might also find that you are experiencing more headaches. And again, the likelihood is that you will have an excuse for that. Of course, you had a headache. You spent too much time at your screen today. Of course, you've had a headache. You haven't drank enough water. Of course, you've got a headache. You haven't actually had anything to eat or drink all day. So again, you'll be finding for reasons as to why these things are happening. You'll be looking for reasons as to why these things are happening. But the physical pains and the headaches will be likely happening to you on a daily basis. And you'll get to a point where you just ignore them. You just think, oh, it's just normal. You might also find that you begin to get some digestive issues. And all I'm going to say on this one is you will know what your normal digestion looks and feels like, right? How many times are you going to the bathroom? What is it like when you go to the bathroom? You are likely, though, to be experiencing some significant changes with your digestion and your digestive issues. And it might not just be bathroom habits that change. You might start to be experiencing things like heartburn. I didn't personally experience any of those, but you might start to be experiencing maybe a bit of an acid reflux, or maybe a little bit more heart pain, or you start to get some indigestion, or heartburn rather, not heart pain, but you might start to experience that. You might also begin to feel that your skin starts to feel like it's crawling, like all you want to do is just itch your skin constantly. I know, particularly around my second burnout, I remember actually sitting in the doctor's surgery in the room with my GP and just physically scratching. I just could not stop scratching my arms. And I hadn't realized that I was doing it. The GP said to me, how long has this been going on for? And I was like, what? Scratching. And it's just what I do. Of course, it wasn't just what I did. It wasn't normal behavior. I genuinely hadn't realized that I was doing it. But you can feel like your skin is crawling. For some people, it may also, that some of the issues can experience kind of heart palpitations. You feel like your heart is beating faster and faster and faster. And that can be something that's happening constantly, or it could be something that is coming and going, but you will likely realize that your heart has experienced palpitations. Again, not something that I personally experienced, but a lot of people that I have worked with in and around the burnout space have experienced these particular issues. And probably the most obvious, but again, you'll probably have all of the reasons why, your sleep is likely to be changing. Either you're struggling to get to sleep at night, or you're having broken sleep, you're waking up earlier in the morning, or you are managing to fall asleep, but you're just waking up feeling utterly, utterly exhausted in the morning. So sleep doesn't feel like it's doing you any good whatsoever. So you're likely to have sleep issues. So emotionally, we're experiencing panic, overwhelm, maybe heightened emotions, unexplained crying, and withdrawal. Mentally, we might be overthinking. Brain feels like it's on constant overload. Physically, you might be experiencing unexplained pains, headaches, digestive issues, may feel like your skin is crawling. You might start to be experiencing heart palpitations, maybe more physical feelings of anxiety, and maybe, probably more than likely, you will be experiencing some sleep issues. Again, if any of these things are happening to you and you're concerned about them, first step needs to be medical practitioner or GP. I can't diagnose, and I don't want you to be looking at this and saying, I just watched this video and I've got all of these things and Kelly says that I'm at burnout. I'm giving you the information based on one of the most common questions that I get asked, which is, what are the signs of burnout? Okay, 2 more areas that I want to talk to you about. The first is around your professional, the impact on you professionally. Now, one of these could be that you're just working harder. You've already been working extremely hard, likely for a very long period of time. It's highly likely that you now feel that you have to work harder. Because with everything that's happening emotionally, mentally, and physically, you know that something is not quite feeling right, but you're worried, you're almost on kind of high alert that people are going to say to you that you're failing or you're not doing what it is that you need to do. So you start working harder. You want to prove that you can do all of this stuff. The overthinking might be making you begin to feel like a bit of a failure. So you want to work harder to prove that you can do the job, even though it's not in question. But you're working harder to prove that you can do everything that's on you. In addition to working harder, you're also working longer hours. It's like work has become all-consuming. There is nothing else in your life that is important. Everything is about work. And you want to be spending time with your family. You want to be spending time with your friends. But it's like a part of you is, I can't do that. Work has to be the number one priority. So you're working harder, you're working longer, and you're also finding that you are unable to switch off. It's like you have this overwhelming, overarching fear of stopping, of slowing down, of just not being able to switch off from work. As I said, I'll touch on that in the second video when I talk about what your brain is doing and why your brain won't let you switch off. From a work perspective, you're working harder, you're working longer, and you are in fear of being able to switch off from work. And that is one of the biggest kind of telltale signs. The fear that says it is not safe for you to stop working is a really, really big indicator that you are at burnout. So we've got the emotional, mental, physical, professional. The last one then, or the 5th area that I want to talk to you about in this video, is about the impact that it can have on your relationships. People around you will be aware that there is something wrong with you. And when I say wrong, I mean you're acting in a way that is different to how you normally do. They're likely noticing some of the stress symptoms. Maybe you're sat itching all of the time, scratching. Maybe they've noticed that you're talking more about having headaches. Maybe they're noticing fatigue or exhaustion. Maybe they're noticing that you are becoming more emotionally heightened. Maybe they're noticing that you are withdrawing from the things that you love. Maybe they notice that the only thing you are focused on is work. They care about you and they're saying to you, I think something's wrong. But you're in fear of being found out as a failure, somebody that's not doing the job properly, somebody that can't stop working. So you're telling them you're okay. And they're telling you that you're not. And so maybe you're getting angry or tetchy with those people. Maybe you're becoming even more short-tempered. Maybe you become even more withdrawn from them because you don't want to tell them that you've got another headache today, because they might then say there's something wrong with you and you're trying to convince yourself that you're not. So you may find that your relationships, and this doesn't just have to be personal relationships at home with family or friends, it could also be relationships at work. Maybe you're withdrawing from peers or colleagues. Maybe you're becoming much more protective of all of this work, that you feel you are the only one that can do it. And so you're also neglecting some of your team. You're maybe not turning up to conversations or meetings or lunches with peers. Maybe you are not having the time that you need with your manager. Maybe you are the boss and you're withdrawing from all of your team. You're trying to keep everybody at arm's length. So our relationships can also be impacted, but I would say it's highly likely that those around you are seeing there is something wrong, something not normal, something that isn't you. And it's likely that they're probably wanting to talk to you about these things. They are doing it from a place of caring. They're doing it from a place of kindness. They're doing it from a place of love. They are not telling you that you're failing. And that's what it can feel like. I understand this fully. Burnout can feel like you are failing. Many of us don't realize we do this. Even with all of these signs that I've gone through, you might be thinking, well, I'm immune, right? It's never going to happen to me. Yeah, I've got a few of those things on the list. You've probably got more than a few, but you will be telling yourself that burnout is something that happens to other people. What I'd encourage you to do, if you can tick the majority, I'm not going to put a number on it, but if you can tick a majority of the signs that I have mentioned today, if you can tick them off a list, I just want you to stop, and I want you to pause, and I want you to take a few breaths, and I want you to ask yourself, is what I am feeling normal? Is what I am feeling normal? And then I want you to take another breath, and I want you to ask yourself, how much longer can I carry on like this? How much longer can I carry on like this? And then based on those answers to those two questions, I would suggest that you probably need to make some changes. I'm going to leave you there for now. So we've got some of the signs and symptoms relating to our emotional, mental and physical health, some professional signs that could be taking place, and also some of the impact on our relationships. Stop, pause, take a breath. Is what I am feeling normal? How much longer can I carry on like this? They're the two questions I want to leave you with for today. If you want to find out more about burnout, if you want to complete the burnout assessment, if you want burnout resources, head over to kellyswingler.com. I've got a growing library of resources over there, as well as podcast information and frequently asked questions. So head over to kellyswingler.com. If this video has been useful and you'd like to find out when more of these videos are being released, you can hit subscribe, and you can subscribe to my videos. And also, you can give us a follow on LinkedIn. If we're not already following or connected on LinkedIn, head over to LinkedIn, Kelly Swingler, and I'll see you there. So you've got three different options: kellyswingler.com, subscribe here on my YouTube channel, or head over to LinkedIn and you'll find me there, Kelly Swingler. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video where I'm going to talk to you about what it is that our brain or your brain is doing to try and keep you safe. I'll see you next time. Take care for now. Bye-bye.